Hey everyone, I am super excited for today's guest.
Oh my god, you just snapped me into my own kitchen. How did that happen?
Everyone, it's Mike from Brothers Green Eats.
Hello, friends. I'm excited to be here with Q Katie in my little Brooklyn kitchen. Today we have a beginner's guide to curing meats for idiots, I'm saying, because I'm an idiot and I just learned how to do it. I'm no expert, but curing meats is actually a lot easier than you would think. People have been doing it for thousands of years. You don't just have to go to specialty stores to get cured meats.
And there are a couple different ways to do it, which you're gonna tell us.
Yes.
So let's hop on in.
Let's do it.
This is your beginner's guide to curing meats.
Curing meats, really simple, a lot easier than you would think. And one of the easiest things to start out on is duck breast because it's got a nice fat ratio. It's got that fat on the skin. First, trim it up a tiny bit. Just make sure it's nice and even. And it's pretty small, so it's gonna cure in just a few weeks. You don't have to wait a year to have a nice cured piece of duck prosciutto, they call it, because all that fat. So the first step is we have to salt it, and there's two ways to do that. The easiest way is just to cover it in salt. That's like the old school method that they used to use. And then put some salt on the bottom of your bowl, pop the duck breast right on the salt, and then just cover it. You're gonna let that sit for 1 day, so like 24 hours, and you'll see it's gonna pull out a lot of the moisture from the duck. Most of the moisture. You'll kind of see it in the salt. The salt will start to get wet, a little bit like wet sand. There is another way to cure, which is called the EQ method. It's kind of like a new age method where you take your duck breast, you weigh it, whatever meat it is, you weigh the meat, and you're taking 3% of that weight, and you're gonna add 3% salt of the weight. You take the 3% salt, put it in a bowl, make sure it's nice and rubbed into your duck breast or whatever meat you're using, and then you're gonna vacuum seal that. So this is the vacuum sealed duck right here, and you're gonna let that sit for about 5 days. If it's a bigger piece of meat, you can let it sit for 10 days, and that is the method. So that method is great because you're using a lot less salt, so it's gonna save you some money, but you do need a vacuum sealer, so I'm showing you both ways.
All right, cool. So back to the immersing it in salt method.
You've waited a day, a lot of that water has absorbed. You pull it out of the salt and you'll see the texture of the duck has completely changed. It's lost a lot of weight to water. You do want to get a lot of that salt, most of that salt off. Now we are ready to spice it, and spicing is completely up to you. If you like it sweet, if you like it herbaceous, if you like it spicy. We're gonna do kind of a mix. We've got a nice dried chili in there. I'm gonna use green peppercorns and black peppercorns, and this is a little herb mix. I put that in a spice grinder. You could just grind it up with a pestle and mortar, whatever you have, and just grind that to a nice, fine to coarse consistency. And then we're gonna sprinkle that right on top of our duck and just make sure you pat it in really nicely. Now you could just wrap that up in string and hang it, but we're gonna take a cheesecloth just to kind of give it some extra protection because it's going in the fridge with a lot of other things. So we're gonna take cheesecloth, just wrap it kind of nice and snug in the cheesecloth.
It's like a little Christmas present.
Yeah, the delicious Christmas present. And then take your string, knot it at the bottom and start looping it. And you don't want it like extremely tight, like suffocating the duck, but it is nice to get it sort of tight so it gives it that nice structure like that. You can see how we've changed the shape of it. What I like to do also is add a little hook on the end so I can just hook it right in my fridge. But now we are gonna go on to the weighing section, and this is really important because when you are curing meat, you want the meat to lose about 35 to 40% of its weight. So there's a lot of water in there and you're trying to release that water. So we are gonna weigh it. So we're gonna calculate what 35% is. So you gotta go back into your math class days, times it by 0.35. It's 78, so we wanna lose 78 grams. And then subtract that from the original weight. I know, kinda crazy, but you guys can do it. Then what I do is I take a label maker, and this is an optional step. You could write it down in your iPhone, but just keep track of the weight and what type of meat it is. Print that out. I put it right on the string so I have easy access to that. And then you're gonna hang it in your fridge. We've got sauerkraut over here, we've got kimchi over here. Then we have all of the cured meat. And that's what I do. I'll just hang the duck somewhere, and you don't want it to be touching anything. A duck breast might take 2, 3, 4 weeks. It's one of the quicker ones, but if you've got a big chunk of meat, that could take like 2 months, 3 months, whatever it is. When you take it out and you weigh it and it has hit that beautiful number, you know, it's lost 35% of the weight, it's ready to go. You've got cured meat ready to slice up and enjoy with your friends. Look at the beauty of this duck. You see that perfectly cured fat right there? That's why they call it prosciutto, because of that delicious fat. And the flavor is just amazing. When you do any homemade type of projects, it's gonna taste better because you put the time and effort into it. You put the love into it. It's gonna be awesome. Try it at home. It's a lot easier than you guys think.
Oh my gosh, that is just beautiful.
It's starting to melt even just having it out like that.
That's kind of wild.
All right.
All right. Oh wow.
How distinct of a flavor is that?
Wow. I feel like I'm in a fancy restaurant in Paris right now.
Yeah, you would see this with the, imagine, you can do this at home.
You also do a ton of other beginner stuff and not beginners food videos on your YouTube channel.
Yeah, check out Brothers Green Eats YouTube channel.
Also, I did a video with Mike for his channel. I showed 4 of the top avocado recipes from my cookbook.
Getting creative with avocados, and that video should come up. It was awesome to film that stuff and try those tasty recipes.
Head over, check it out. I will link to it around here. Mike, tell them what not to forget.
Keep it quirky.
Always.
I've got beef, duck, lamb, and pork that I'm trying right now. And this is just my first run at it. I'm a rookie. Wow. Look at that.
Wow, look at the marbleization.
Yeah. See, I'm messing around. This one had salt and sugar on the cure.
Ooh, sugar.
I'm thinking because that also will cure, but I'm personally thinking that I like more salt content. Look at that though. That's beautiful.